On today's episode of Gathering the Kings.
I think all successful people want other people to succeed as well.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, the stories we saw where what was this? Scrooge was like counting his coins and wouldn't like. I don't think that's true in real life. That was just a Disney made up character. Most people aren't like that. The miser that just holds at everything. And if they are that person, they're probably not that wealthy. And it doesn't have to be monetary either. It could be successful in their own right.
You are listening to Gathering the Kings with Chaz Wolf, featuring fellow 7, 8, and even 9-figure business owners who have real battle scars from business and life, but have prevailed as the king that they are designed to be. We welcome high-performing entrepreneurs to the stage in order to reveal the real of the real on what it takes to build a successful business today. We dissect the good and bad decisions they've made along the way that give a true and accurate picture of the journey of success and how you too can get there. Through this dialogue, you will learn the value of growing your network and surrounding yourself with power players and kings like today's guest. Grab your pen and notebook because we're about to dive in. What's up, everybody? I'm Chaz Wolf, Gathering the Kings podcast coming to you today. Brent Bowers on the King stage. My man, how you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you being here. Time is the most valuable, so the fact that you're giving it means a lot to me. So what kind of business you in?
So you know what? I'm in the land business. Ultimately, I'm in the cash flow business, but I'm also in the helping people business. So, and we get paid very well to do it.
I love it. I love it. And so inside of the land, you know, you're buying, selling everything land, or is there specific types? Like give us a little bit of what this land helping people looks like.
Yeah, I prefer vacant residential land. We generally buy it from people that no longer want it and turn around and find people that do want it, but they don't have tens of thousands of dollars just sitting around. You know, most banks don't actually finance for land. So I try and fill both of those needs, you know, find the people that want land because I have the land as well as allow them the ability to make payments on the land.
Yeah. Yeah. So almost like a funding option in there too, huh?
Exactly. Yep.
Well, I love the creativity of getting deals done. It sounds like you're in the same vein. We'll have lots to talk about here. But before we jump into your story, tell me at this level, obviously you're crushing, you're doing a certain amount of revenue, right? That $1 million mark or more, but why, dude? Why are you still going? You've already got success. You've got it wrapped up. You got it in the bag. Why are you still doing it, man?
You know what? It's funny. Me and my wife went out to lunch. We just got back from lunch and I was like, you know what? What if we just took just gave everyone on our team like a package, like paid them out and just was happy where we're at, you know, didn't acquire any more land or houses. And she had a really good point. She's like, well, a lot of them will pay off in like 7 to 8 years. And I was like, no. We've been doing 30-year mortgages. But I think the real reason, that's her reason why we can't stop. You know, you got to keep building it, buying and selling. Yeah. But I think the real reason is we're entrepreneurs, we're business people. If we did not have a growth and building mindset, we probably never would have built this in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, if I didn't have that mindset already, I probably would have stayed in the military, stayed with my W-2 job.
Yeah.
And let someone else dictate my schedule and my time and what I wear and how often I had to cut my hair and shave my beard every day. Yeah. So that's just not what we do as creators, as builders, as visionaries. We just keep going and keep building and keep hiring and keep scaling and going into new markets and starting a coaching course and a podcast and a YouTube channel, a TikTok. We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
It just never stops. Like you got to have something to do with your time. You know, God, like in the Bible, it says, you know, that idle hands, and I'm very paraphrasing this, are the devil's playground, you know, type thing. So a lot of times I don't make time for myself to sit around. I don't enjoy sitting around.
Yeah. I think that everything that you just said, every entrepreneur is going, yup. Yeah. Now the desire for more that you referenced, not every entrepreneur has that, right? Where they don't want to be told what to do. They want to do their own thing, but that obviously, you know, that like sends you into business. It gets you started.
Right.
But in order to like really scale to where you are and have systems and people and all the things that would give you freedom to just hit the pause button if you wanted to, those things come from the
desire for more. So where, like, was it along the way that you kind of realized that you had that desire for more? Was it a moment in time? Was it like this epiphany? Was it like, I just haven't stopped. I didn't even realize it. Like, give me some feedback there.
No, I don't know if it was an epiphany or like one of those light bulb coming on moments. I guess if I look back, it was just a couple years ago, 2018, when I was getting out of the military. My whole goal was just to make 10 grand a month. That's all I needed to make. Well, I hit that before I even got out of the military.
Wow.
And then I hired a bunch more people, and people started, coming, and just more deals started happening, more transactions, more cash flow coming in. And I mean, we just hired someone else last week. So I think it's just, I feel like it's one of those things, like if you're not growing, you're dying. We're always improving, like going to the gym and eating healthier, trying to run that mile a little faster. I don't know if I had an epiphany, but I just feel like, it's just, I just have never taken my foot off at least for the last 10 years. Now, granted, I take vacations all the time. We take time off because that's, I've got a family. It's great and really fun to do that. But that's when some of I basically recharge my batteries, and that's when some of my best ideas come,
Yeah.
when I'm just hanging out for a couple of days and like, okay, what else can we start now type
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. 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 There's a difference between idle hands and an idle mind.
That's true. Yeah.
Because there's that thinking time that you're talking about where you can go to a quiet place, and I think most entrepreneurs can relate. But depending on on the level of desire, man, that idea factory just starts churning.
Yeah. What Keith Cunningham talks about in his book, The Less Stupid or something like that. I forget what this book's called, but anyhow, look it up. Keith Cunningham, something less dumb mistakes. But he talks about setting thinking time up, like scheduling it. And that's one of the things on my to-do list. I've already put it on my calendar, but something always seems to get in the way of it. So
Every
that's one of the
time.
things like I plan to implement is to start having thinking time.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a guest on my show. She's been a business owner for 20 years and successful in the windows and door space. And she said that she had a business coach once tell her that, you wouldn't miss an appointment with, a client or, an employee. If you're doing an employee meeting, why would you miss that appointment with yourself? But it's so hard. It's so hard. I had this was just like a couple of months ago. One of my team members was like, "Hey, so like, she was asking me about some certain things that I was supposed to be doing in some blocked off time." And I was like, "Well, she's like, "Well, we blocked off the time for you. Like, what do you mean? Like, why haven't you been doing it?" I was like, "Well, look back the last couple of weeks on those time frames, and I had filled it call,
Yeah.
deal, this meeting, this. And she was like, "No, you can't do that. We need you to, da 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 da." So
Yeah.
I received that kind rebuke. I receive it.
No, it's so true. It's like I have a mentor, and he's like, look, if someone calls you or tries to interrupt you during that time you set, let's just say that you set a time with your son to take him, to get ice cream on that day. You can't say to that person, oh, hey, actually, I'm actually going out. I'm going to take my son out for an hour or so. I can't actually do it because I've already got a commitment. No, just say, I already have an appointment. Can you do it next week on Thursday? That
Right.
person that's calling or texting is not going to say, well, can you cancel it? Like, you don't even have to get into that. Like, just,
Nope.
block that time and be just almost religious with it type thing.
Yeah.
Nothing gets in the way of it. And our phones and our emails and our Twitters and our text messages are the biggest killers of productivity because everybody else is squeezing their way into your schedule all day long. And it's a darn addiction. It really is. Like, we got to check that phone. And no, if we schedule that time in, like, everything else is second nature type thing.
That's right. I love the mindset. Okay, so let's go to your story. Let's go back maybe a little bit of time where, you maybe aren't where you are today, but you're in the middle of it. You're in the thick of it. And I want to know a good decision that you made that really catapulted things forward around people or systems or advertise. Like what was that one thing or maybe one of the things you can look back on and share?
Well, I guess one of them was really, we've been talking about it this whole entire time, was time blocking. When I was in the military, I had to be on base by 6 a.m. to be doing physical training. And most of the times I wouldn't be able to leave until like 6 p.m. that night. Like, my days were stuck there all day long. So I I didn't have time to start a business. I also had a brand new baby, a very new marriage. We had just moved across the country, all these things that I had going on. And I could have just said, you know what? I don't have time to start a business to eventually get out of the military. That's what I wanted to do, was get out of the military.
Right.
But I had to find that time. And that was no Netflix, no Hulu. I don't even think Hulu existed back then, but I would get up at 4 a.m. every single morning, at least 6 days a week. And I would time block the things I needed to get done
Yeah.
to work on my business. Now I couldn't call back sellers and buyers at the time, but I could email them back. I could, message them on Facebook, these things like that. But it was just setting that 2 hours a day multiplied by 6 days a week. And that turned into, what is that? 12 hours a week, multiply that times 4 in a month. And then by the time a year is like passed, like you have put in so many hours to build your business. And that was probably the best decision I ever could have made, was just finding that time. Now I would drop dead at nighttime by like 9 p.m. Like, and I still have found myself in that, like, I'll still get up at 4 a.m. some mornings when I'm feeling overwhelmed the night before, like, oh, I got all these things to do. It's amazing that 2 hours when the phone's not ringing, when the kids are not awake, and you have 4 kids.
Yeah.
Like I've got 3. There's always something that gets in the way. You just got to find that time.
Yeah, it's so true. And so you put that, in that place of that personal appointment, whether it be the thinking time, the gym, prayer, meditation, Bible reading for me, it's like those things, they're on the calendar, but it's like you just have to remember that you're committed to those things, just like you are the podcast with Brent Bowers. So I just think that there's some mindset there that it never goes away. And that's what I want to hear. I want the listener to hear that you got 2 people at a pretty high level saying, hey, look, like you still get overwhelmed. You still wake up at 4 a.m. going, okay, let me get a couple of extra hours in here today. Let me be really, focused. I'm still on a regular basis now. Last month with new baby has been interesting for sure.
Mhm.
There's been some later nights and some earlier mornings, and it's been all over the place, but
You have
there-
no schedule.
yeah. but there's stuff that needs to get done. So you got to figure it out is my encouragement to the listener.
And God bless all wives, all
my.
spouses that have to be married to entrepreneurs like you and I, Chaz, because,
Seriously.
it's like they're getting up with the baby and they're dealing with our, mental ups and downs and our roller coasters. And, I don't know, like I might be the only entrepreneur that, like, I swear business is a roller coaster sometimes. Like
Yeah.
some days I feel like I'm on top of the world, and the next I feel like it's all raining hell down on me at the same time. But I wouldn't trade it for anything, because
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
we're building something. I listened to the book the other day on Audible, really long book, but so recommend it, by Phil Knight, the co-founder of Nike, called Shoe Dog. I was like depressed the whole time during listening to that book. I mean, it was like 20 years they were in bankruptcy, and then one day, like God turned the lights on, basically when they went public. I think, if I understand correctly.
Yep.
And he's giving $100 million a year away to charity. It's like, I want to be that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. But the story, as you're saying, nobody knows those individual moments, where they're hustling and going to track meets and trying to sell shoes and, all the little things, or the behind the scenes of the manufacturing and how that almost bankrupted them. And just an incredible story, like you're saying, but we all have those moments, to your point. We all have those decisions to be able to keep going, because it doesn't just happen. And even if it does happen, then you might be on the way down now for a minute before it happens again, whatever it is.
Yeah. And we're seeing it right now in the real estate market. I have several properties that, like, they've slowed down on me, but thank God, like, we're, okay, financially, we're set. We still got the cash flow coming in. And it's like, but we just came out of like a 4-year cycle that it's almost like we could blink and make money,
Right.
type thing. And though I think it's a good time to get in real estate, yes. Was 4 years ago a great time to get in real estate? Yes. It's just, we're in a different market now. And, gas is expensive. Well, actually, it went down. I just saw it went down a little bit. I'm kind of like, heck yeah.
The reality is this, is that there's going to be either reasons or excuses, to your point.
That's so good. Yeah. reasons or excuses.
Yeah, ones we do or we don't. So, okay, let's flip the coin. Brent, tell me about a time where you just made a really poor decision. I want to know the juicy details.
You know what? There's been so many of them. There really has. And I heard this from Tony Robbins. He said, when we win, we party. When we fail, we ponder. And, I was winning so much. It's like I was in the military still, and I had just started buying and selling land. And I was like buying land for $285 and selling it for 5,000, buying the next parcel for 500 and getting 500 down and 400 a month. And like all these little things, and these wins just kept stacking up. And I was like, I think by about the 10th or the 12th one, I'd made a couple hundred grand. And I'm just like, oh my, anything I look at, I can just buy it and sell it. I'm going to turn it to gold. And I stopped going and looking at it. I would just I would be doing my army emails or just getting back from the field. A piece of land would come across. I was like, yep, we're getting the 1/3 of the value, buy it. And I didn't even run title insurance. And I did about 3 or 4 deals where I had purchased the land. And one was a gaping crater in the ground. Another one was like a treasure deed where there was basically a cloud on the title. And I had buyers lined up for all these things. And
Right.
we found out about the problems after I had bought them. So it's just like I got cocky and arrogant. And I had to go back and okay, there's steps for a reason that we need to take to make sure that we're not getting into a bad investment. So that was one of the many, many
Yeah.
times where I made bad mistakes. But I learned from it. So I see it as great, great value. And I've taught many people how to avoid those type things. And we dug ourselves out of the hole, or that was before I had a team. I dug myself out of the hole, and it's just, I learned a lot from it. So I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, I received that. I think that we all I mean, we've all lacked the due diligence, whether it's in a partnership or in a deal or in a we could insert whatever you want there. But
Yes.
what I actually
Oh,
heard you say was that you got arrogant.
that's right. I got cocky and arrogant, and I was like, oh, I can't mess this up.
Right.
And it
Right.
worked out.
And so the listener, I'm sure, is going, okay, well, the learning lesson there is don't be cocky, don't be arrogant, think through things all the way through. Is there was it just so many wins in a row that gave you the false
Yeah.
confidence?
False confidence. That's so good. Great. Put a great term on that. Yeah. I got so many wins so quick that it was just false confidence. And that, it's funny, you said partnership. And then I went into a partnership with one of my brothers, my best friends. And we went into a business, and I was just arrogant. It's like anything I touch, I will turn to gold. And it didn't. And things went south with that business. And then eventually our friendship, and we're good now. Thank God, because the money, screw that. That was
Right.
honestly, it helped me on taxes, to be honest with you, that we lost on it. But, which is a
Yeah.
stupid way to look at it. But
You're scratching and clawing for any validation.
it's like that cost me a lifelong friendship
Yeah.
because of that arrogance. And it was about the same time frame.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think that's the point here is that I think for a long time I have been a huge proponent of winning. Right. I even have in one of the workbooks I created for our mastermind group that you need to win every day. Period.
Yes.
You need to win every day. And you do. But how do you then stop the mindset of multiple wins? If that you're telling me, Brent, Chaz, that I need to win every single day. Hey, Chaz Wolf here. As many of you know, I have been on an absolute mission to help entrepreneurs from all across the country in many different industries level up their game and grow their business and intentionally connect with other entrepreneurs. We do that obviously through the podcast, but we also have a peer-to-peer mastermind group specifically for 7 to 9-figure business owners. We are bringing some of the best and most successful entrepreneurs and minds together in a regular and a super intentional way to not only grow our network, but to be able to leverage. And at a certain point in business, success becomes about leverage, leveraging time, leveraging resources, leveraging key relationships. This is exactly what we're doing inside of the peer-to-peer mastermind group called Gathering the Kings, specifically for 7 to 9-figure business owners. So if that's you, if you're ready to level up your 7 to 9 figure business even to the next level and get around other big hitters just like you, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com, fill out a short application, and it'll come to an application call with me, and I want to chat with you to see if it might be a good fit. Talk soon. So I'm in here looking for the wins, and I'm getting confident over here. What's the caveat there? How do I stay humble?
I don't know. I don't know. As far as winning every day, I got a little on the other side of my desk here at my other desk. Like I've got like a couple things I want to accomplish every day. The first is, go to the gym. And that's one of my personal wins. Go to the gym, make 5 connections each day. It could be a seller, it could be a business partner, it could be my accountant. And that, like for a while, that was the top 2. Now then there's personal stuff, like, make sure I make my wife feel loved and appreciated each day. Each one of my children, to just have a little connection time with them each day. Cause there's 3 of them. And you've got 4 now. It's really hard to make sure each one of those little growing beings get that win. And that win might be daddy sat with me and read a book for 2 minutes. So I don't know. I don't see why that would make someone not humble, because at the end of the day, a win could be, we got our mailers out to our land sellers. That's a win.
Yeah.
And then the next win is a week from now, we got a phone call from one of those letters. And then the next win is we got a purchase agreement signed by one of those sellers. And small wins turn into, now get 16 grand a month on land notes or whatever, whatever that win might be. Or I get the parking spot really close to, the Applebee's restaurant, and I just say winning, or the shaded spot because we're in Florida and it's 100 degrees right now.
Yeah,
so
seriously.
it's small wins.
Yeah, no, I guess it's all perspective, right? If you are thinking of the little things as not so much an arrogance boost, but of this is helping me build something, I think that's great perspective. I also think that gratitude, or having the perspective of something that once was different, and so, for the listeners that resonate with me, knowing that didn't come from anything, single mom family, literally just, I can remember when things weren't like this, when I wasn't in a beautiful office inside of my home that we just got done building on a beautiful estate. I can remember when life was just a little bit different. And so even though we have it, even though I got the win, even though I'm beating my chest a little bit, it's like that same moment where you're like, whoa, bro. You remember when. And so I think both of those perspectives are super valuable. I want to know real quick here, Brent, do you have any sort of discipline or maybe even process when a decision comes to you? We've been talking good and bad decision here. The decision comes to you right now and you got to make one. What do you do with it?
So for instance, if you came to me or someone came to me just a little bit ago, we have a brand new contractor in an area that's working on one of our properties that we've had a lot of mistakes with lately. A couple contractors ripped us off, and nothing against contractors, but I guess my process is what does history show me? What have I dealt with in the past? Or can I call somebody that knows or refer? So I guess that's my process. It's not huge. It's not anything groundbreaking or earth shattering. It's what does my past experience show me? And if I didn't have any past experience in that, who do I know that does, that I can reach out to? Because here's the cool thing about successful people. And you know this, Chaz, you're an example of it with your podcast. And most successful people, actually, I think all successful people want other people to succeed as well.
Sure. Yeah.
That the stories we saw where, what was this? Scrooge was counting his coins and wouldn't, I don't think that's true in real life. That was just a Disney made up character. Most people aren't like that. The miser that just holds at everything. And if they are that person, they're probably not that wealthy. And it doesn't have to be monetary either. It could be successful in their own right.
Totally.
But you can always call someone and get help. So that's my very simple process.
Yeah. What you just said is basically it's not about the money necessarily. I learned this principle a while back that having more money doesn't necessarily change you. It amplifies who you already are. And so when good people get a lot of money or successful in many different areas. It could just be more monetary, but to your point, it's, I want to give back, or I want to be able to raise up my community, or I want to be able to help other people through a podcast or whatever. And then the people who are already ill-willed, or have an inkling in their spirit are going to do wrong things anyway. So I think you're spot on with that. It's a matter of being able to build with right intentions, probably.
Yeah, and those people won't be successful. They won't be wealthy or rich very long either. Like something bad will happen because they'll bring it right on themselves.
Yeah.
They'll go to prison or whatever.
Yeah.
They won't last long.
All right, let's hit the speed round here, brother. I've got a
All right.
question on the first round here of dwindling your business down. All the transactions, all the calls, all the everything down into one trackable metric. What is it?
As far as the metric, let me make sure I understand you correctly. Like, how do I track, if I dwindle it down to one metric, like how do I track my company if it's successful?
Sure. Yeah. If you dwindle everything that you do down into one trackable thing.
Can I have two metrics for like a key performance?
No, it's
indicator?
one. But yeah, no, share them both.
Because here's the thing. It's like, and it's so simple. We have to know exactly how much we have to put out to get a return and how much that return is. So right now it's about $1 for every dollar we spend, we make about $3.95 back in all the companies combined. So that's two metrics. So I kind of cheated. I don't know if I can figure out one. I'm probably your least intelligent.
You could dwindle that down into return on ad spend, basically.
Yeah, return on spend. There you go.
Yeah, interesting.
Return on investment, ROI.
Yeah, which obviously could incorporate, your people and salaries and all that stuff, because that can all be considered investments.
Every one of our team members are investments. And if for anybody listening to this, if you look at one of your team members as they're not an investment, they're not pulling their weight, they're not bringing in a return on investment, then that's a burden. And you should either find a new seat on the bus for that person or get them off the bus completely. AKA, I'm saying fire them, get rid of them, or in the partnership. And it doesn't have to be a negative thing. We just actually terminated one of our employees and we gave her a severance package. She's been great for the last 2 years, but she just no longer works for our community or our culture, I should say.
Right. Yep. Exactly. All right, Brent, what book would you suggest that a 6-figure business owner read?
Oh man, I say The Wealthy Gardener. I just love the story. It's about a chiropractor that just worked his way up in real estate. And it's just a beautiful story. I almost said my wife's book that she just wrote, Mother Trauma, but
throw it out, Mother Trauma.
Oh yeah, my wife is doing really well on Amazon right now. She's already got 22 reviews. So I'm just really proud of her. So a writer in the family, but the 6-figure business earner or 6-figure earner in business should probably read The Wealthy Gardener if you haven't done so already.
Yeah, that's good. We'll list both of those books in the show notes. I hope that the one for your wife kicks off. Next question is, do you intentionally network or mastermind with other entrepreneurs?
Absolutely mastermind. I'm very intentional on networking. I don't go to random networking events. I go there to either speak or learn something, as I actually got to give the credit to Sean Callaghy for that. The guy is just incredible in the business relationships that he builds. But yeah, I highly believe in it. I mean, this podcast is a very not random networking event. Like you and I are networking right now.
Yeah.
So yes, I highly agree with it. I'm actually starting my own mastermind. I know you have one as well. It's incredible. So it's very powerful. I started a real estate meetup many of years ago. It's still growing, even though I'm out of it. I can't tell you how many hundreds of thousands of dollars in business that I got to do by starting that event. So you can start by going, but I think you should also create too.
Yeah, no, that's so good. It's a good perspective of not just being a recipient, but a giver. But that's kind of why I like the mastermind format usually, or at least in my opinion, ones that are done in the actual definition of masterminds. Like you can give and take in the scenario. It's not like just sitting down in a seat and taking notes. That's more what I would call a conference.
And Chaz, you don't have to have all the answers either, because there's going to be some people in there that are probably doing that you could have a person that's doing 8 figures And that's exactly what that 7-figure earner needed to hear. And it was only one thing. And he can leave that weekend or that mastermind
Yeah.
thinking, oh my God, I can't believe that's all this cost.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You have that one pivotal moment, like that you're talking about, that connection, that piece of knowledge, that one hinge that just pulled the screw loose, and then everything, came apart or came together, however you look at it. Yeah, it changes the world. Do you actually, let me phrase it like this. If you only had 1 hour each week to work in or on your business, how would you use that hour to successfully run your business like you do now?
I would put a message out to my entire team of hope, inspiration, also the time in that 1 hour to make sure that I publicly announced the person's name that was showing up in the KPIs, the key performance indicators, or she bought more land this week than everyone else, or more houses or whatever. That 1 hour would be a message directing everyone that's rowing on the boat to keep rowing in the same direction, because I learned this as a platoon leader in the military. My first job as a brand new second lieutenant, my commander said, Brent, I don't pay you to get the fuel and the water out. I pay you to make sure the fuel is pumped and the water's provided, and you have 32 people to do that for you. So it's the same thing with anything. As business owners, we're like the person that has the leverage. Like we're just being used properly and in good ways and not bad ways. Like almost be good stewards of the leverage that we've been blessed with.
Yeah, because one might hear you say, well, that leader said that you got 32 people to use. And it's the opposite. It's like, wow, I'm blessed to be able to orchestrate this whole thing. And 32 people want to be involved. Wow, and what can we do with the power of 32? Dude, that's incredible insight. Thank you for your service also. I meant to say
Thanks,
that
man.
earlier, but I mean leadership from a whole nother world.
And I
Applicable in business.
and that's I'll tell you, that's the difference between the military. You oh my gosh, that was level 5 listening, Chaz, to use. That's the difference between what I was taught in the military and what I was surrounded by. And the business side, people want to be here. People want to be in this culture. Like the military, not so much. There's a lot of negativity, like they're forced to be there. My commander, with all his intelligence, said, use these people.
Mhm.
And in business, like we don't use anybody. Like we motivate, inspire, we share the vision. And if they don't have the same vision, they're probably not a fit.
Yep.
So
And then the confidence that we have as entrepreneurs is that there are lots out there who are a good fit. Just got to go
holy
find them.
cow, yes. You just got to be willing to put yourself out there one more time, get hurt one more time. You might be thinking, well, I'm done. I'm going to do all this by myself. You're going to be a one-man operation. Like that is pathway to burnout and
Yeah.
frustration and alcoholic, you know. So you just got to keep, eventually it's like finding the woman of our dreams or the man of your dreams. You just got to keep, just keep your heart open type thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. Last question here for you, Brent. If you lost it all, what would you do?
You know what? I would walk down to the county assessor's office and I would figure out the people that were behind on their taxes, and I would ask to borrow their phone, and I would start calling those people to see who I can help. I kind of had thought about this, like, okay, if I didn't have any money to market, I would just have to somehow or another get down to the county building to go through the records and start writing letters or whatever to be able to start finding landowners that are behind on their taxes or out of state or both, combine those two and start reaching out to them and see if they consider, selling that parcel of land.
Yeah. You would do it all over again.
Yeah, do it all over again, but way less scalable, way more time consuming. But you do that for a week or two,
Yeah.
you'd be
As soon
back
as the
on.
money flows,
Yeah.
you'll be back right where you are. I love everything about our interaction today. Just your spirit, just the kindness that you've spoken, the encouragement that you've given, value drops. I mean, you're building a phenomenal business over there. I can tell just from the language that you've used today. How can the listener connect with you? How can they find you?
No, I appreciate you asking me, Chaz. I built a YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and search Brent Bowers, you can find me there. That's probably the best place to find me.
Perfect. Well, check out his YouTube channel. Brent, we wish you nothing but all the success and blessings that your hands will not being idle will produce for you. And so we appreciate that. And thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Chaz. God bless.
Thank you for listening to Gathering the Kings today. I hope that you were able to pull out a few nuggets to go apply into your business right away. More importantly, though, I hope that you're realizing that it takes more to be successful than just being by yourself, doing it all on your own, carrying the weight all by yourself. What I have realized, not only in my own journey from multiple businesses and multiple different industries, and now interviewing over 200 or 300 other very successful 7, 8, and 9-figure business owners, is that it's tough to do it alone. And so Gathering the Kings exists to bring together successful entrepreneurs. In fact, we are putting together 1,000 kings, specifically who are grateful but not done. We're intentionally assembling kings who fight tooth and nail for their business, family, and communities. And here's what we believe, that in the pursuit of excellence in those areas, that it ignites within us the responsibility to govern power and forge a lasting legacy. So if that relates and resonates with you, and you know that you need people around you, sharp, qualified, other very successful business owners, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com. I want you to take a look at what we're doing and see if it makes sense for you to be part of our pursuit to 1,000 kings. Talk soon.